All right, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about 5 things I learned from making $500,000 a year plus at 16. Okay, the first one, and by the way, before I get into what the first one is, these are really important for you to know because if you disregard these, it's gonna set you back a long time because these things set me back a long time. They caused me to lose thousands of dollars by not like actually implementing these lessons. And so I would really suggest watching this video till the end if you have the attention span to do so because it'll save you a lot of money, it'll make you a lot of money, and it'll save you a ton of time, which is the most valuable asset you have. So let's get into it. The first thing I learned is I am way too fucking nice. And you probably are too. Most people are way too nice, especially if you grew up in a country like Australia where everyone's so nice, everyone trusts everyone, everyone's so kind, it's not a good thing because people in business are pretty cutthroat. And I have been, you know, I don't like to use the word manipulated because I think it's too aggressive, but I think I've been taken advantage of a lot, which happens. But the reason it happened was because I was just too nice to people. I'm too nice to people, and that is why you get taken advantage of, right? And what does too nice mean? It's basically like letting too much slide. You let people do too much stuff. You let people you just allow stuff to happen, and then it compounds up, it snowballs up into something bad. For example, I had a client who technically just kind of ripped me off, a revenue share client, and I could kind of see the signs of it. He was like, "Hey, I'm thinking of bringing on a guy for this. What do you think?" And I was like, the guy will probably try and like kick me off, but sure, do it, go for it. And then he brought the guy on, and I was like, yeah, that's great, keep running it. And then all of a sudden, this guy basically just cut us out of the deal, right? And that shit happens all the time. It's happened like 3 times in the last 3 months. Like people just come in, cut me out of the deal because I'm too nice. So I've learned to be less nice. I've learned to be less kind to people because, and it's not even about niceness or kindness. It's literally just like not letting shit slide that, could lead into a negative direction. So I would say for you, if you are nice, if you're too nice, if you let too much shit slide, if you kind of allow people to do too much because you're just trying to be kind and you don't want to be seen as rude or restrictive or whatever, fuck that. You just have to be more rude. You have to be more restrictive because otherwise it could lead you into a negative direction. And now I want to talk about something interesting because everyone says like people treat you differently when you make money, and it's actually true. Like it is surprisingly true. People, even family, treat me completely different now that I know that I make more money than like 90% of adults in Australia, right? People treat me way differently. And I'll tell you the things, and no one really notices this, and it's not a big deal, but shit happens. It's kind of cool, but it also kind of gets annoying. It'll be as small as like, oh, I bet you could afford that, or, you'll be at, for example, a relative's house and they're like, oh, don't worry, Liam can pay for XYZ. Liam can do this, in Australia, obviously, it's a hot place. It's like, oh, it's hot weather. Don't worry, Liam can put a pool in for you. And it's nothing to get upset about, but it is just kind of true that it does happen. Like, people actually treat you that way, which is interesting. And I actually heard Scott Hilsey talking about this, and I heard this, like, before I was making money, and I was like, there's no way that would be true. And he was like saying, when you make money, when he made money, people were like, oh, I'm sure my new car isn't as nice as yours, Scott. And it's basically what it is it's people constantly comparing themselves to you and trying to almost like relieve themselves in a way of being lower. Not that it's necessarily worse because everyone has their different objectives in life, but it's all about people comparing themselves to you. And I think it's especially, if you're young like me, people really compare things harshly because it's like, oh my God, this kid's doing this. Like, I guarantee he's not working hard. He's not smart. He doesn't do XYZ like I do. He's just lucky. And, by the way, if you're listening at this point, like, let me know in the comments if you think, or if you have dealt with this, or if you think it would happen for you, because it's just interesting, and you kind of just look at it and you're like, damn, like, it's true. It is true that people treat you differently with money. Now, the third thing I want to talk about is that risk is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. Even the concept of risk entering your mind. I know it's easier for me because I'm young. If I completely go bankrupt, I still have food being put on the table by my parents, obviously. Like, I still have a roof under my head. I'm not going to be homeless. And that's why you need to take advantage of risk as much as you can. Like, fuck risk. Risk doesn't exist. Guys, I'll tell you a true story. We invested in a lot of really big things this month that we drained our business bank account down to zero. Literally down to zero. We spent an absurd amount of money on advisors, on employees, on ad spend, on softwares, we fucking spend it all. And we've already, rebounded the account all the way up. Although we only made the business account like a month ago, to be fair, because, it's really hard getting a bank account for a business and like credit cards and shit set up under 18. But we were able to get that set up and we drained it to zero. We spent a lot of money. I won't say the exact numbers, but you can probably guess it, like less than six figures, but multiple five figures, but less than six figures. And it's a crazy feeling sometimes when you think about it and you're like seeing the business account go down, but you just need to remember these are numbers on a screen. And as long as you have a decent amount of money stacked away in your personal bank account, it kind of removes that risk altogether. And at the end of the day, like, what's the worst that could happen? You can always make more money. I think people view failure as in the wrong way, where they view, and this goes for me too. People view failure as if like the only reason you think failure is like a possibility is because you doubt your abilities, right? If you've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 grand online, you have a skill set. And if you think you're going to fail, then you basically are just doubting that skill set that you have, right? Which you shouldn't do, because the skill set made you that money. If you keep doing it, it's going to make you more money. It's pretty much like, that's how it is essentially. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is basically brute force. So brute force, this is something I've learned really recently. Brute force is the best way to grow anything. And I've applied this in so many areas of my life. I wanted to get better in the gym. I started going to the gym every single day. Okay. I wanted to grow my YouTube channel. I started posting on YouTube every single day. I wanted to grow my Instagram. I started posting on Instagram every single day. I wanted to get better at ads. I started learning ads every single day and writing ads every day. Guys, this week I have written 5 ad scripts, like not scripts, like creatives. I made 5 ad creatives per day. And this is the best way to learn something. I read so many books on marketing, so many books on ads, but this is the best way to learn things. And I know this to be true because there's this guy who was actually my very first client. Funny story. So his name's Chris, and he was my very first client. He paid me $2,000, and I was on a holiday with my family up in Queensland, which is like the northernmost part of Australia, in a camper van. Middle of nowhere, bad reception. I managed to go to the store, grab a SIM card that would actually work in that location since the cell reception was really limited. And I got on a call with this guy. I pitched him, I closed him. He was doing like $400K a month back then. Right now he does $5 million a month. And I was talking to him and I said, bro, like how, like you're so good at ads. Where did you learn ads from? What books? And he said, bro, I haven't read any books. I just make a lot of ads. And it's like, shit, if the guy who's running this entire info game in Australia has not read any books and he's just learning by doing, then that should tell you enough. That should tell you enough about how well brute force is to grow something. Because not only will you just be seen everywhere, but you'll also learn with a really quick feedback loop. And then the 5th thing I want to talk about is that you can do anything. You just have to you have to accept responsibility, right? I, believe it or not, was really, really fucking bad at paid ads at the start of this year. I was really bad. And I was just like, man, like, how am I going to grow this business if I'm not good at paid ads? Like, I can't help my clients out and I can't help myself out. So what did I do? I accept responsibility that I'm just shit at ads. And I bought like 5 courses, read a bunch of books, and started making a bunch of ads. I made the commitment to get good at ads, and I got good at ads. My business partner, he wasn't great at closing. He made the commitment to get good at closing. We spent, multiple 5 figures on sales coaching for him. He read a bunch of books. He was constantly listening to sales call recordings whilst he was working out, whilst he was on walks, whilst he was at school. And now he's one of the best closers I know, right? So you can do anything you ever want. You just have to accept responsibility, which is what I want your biggest takeaway to be from this video. Whatever is the biggest problem you're facing right now, accept responsibility for it, solve it, and then get after it. Now, look, I make daily videos kind of documenting my journey. Soon, these videos will probably get more views, but right now I'm kind of I said I make a video a day for 100 days. I'm short for time, so I'm spending like an hour a day on this max. It's 11:45 p.m. right now. I'm sorry. I could probably do better. I could definitely do better. And it'll get to a point soon where I will, for example, accept responsibility that my YouTube has kind of just been stagnating, and I will fix it. But for now, we're focused on some other things in the business, which I will update you guys on in the next video. Peace out. Have a good one.